AITA for canceling our honeymoon after my fiancée planned to take her ex instead? I'm Mason, 35, and until that night, I was supposed to become Alyssa's husband in less than 24 hours. We had been together for 5 years, engaged for 14 months, and I was the guy who kept a printed wedding folder by the coffee maker because Alyssa said shared planning apps made her anxious. That folder had everything in it: venue contacts, confirmation numbers, deposit receipts, a printed timeline for the ceremony. There was even a list of guests with allergies because Alyssa was afraid someone would get served the wrong appetizer and blame her forever. I used to joke that if our house caught fire, after making sure everyone was safe, I would probably grab that folder. I loved her enough to be patient with a lot of things. I just didn't realize patience had slowly turned into me financing my own replacement. Alyssa had always been the emotionally articulate one. That was part of what drew me to her in the beginning. She could sit on the couch with a mug of tea and talk about fear, childhood patterns, resentment, and trust without turning it into a fight. She made feelings sound organized. She made honesty sound like a skill. I was not like that naturally. I was steady, quiet, sometimes too quiet. I had to learn how to say, "That hurt me," instead of just becoming silent and hoping the mood passed. Alyssa used to say she appreciated that I tried. Somewhere along the way, though, the words she used to help us talk became words she used to end conversations. I just need space to process. I don't feel emotionally safe when you question my motives. I need clarity before I can give you reassurance. The first few times, I listened. I told myself that was what a good partner did. I didn't want to be the guy who dismissed feelings because they were inconvenient. I didn't want to be the fiancé who treated every uncomfortable conversation like a courtroom. Then Cole came back. Cole was Alyssa's ex from before me. For the first few years, he was old history. She mentioned him the way people mention old apartments or cars they used to drive. Not warmly, not bitterly, just as part of her past. They had dated on and off in their 20s, and according to her, he was a lesson she had already learned. Then, about 8 months before our wedding, his name started appearing in the present tense. At first, it was harmless, or at least that was how Alyssa sold it. Cole texted me. His dad has been sick. Cole asked how wedding planning is going. I think he's in a weird place. Cole sent me this old song we used to listen to. It made me sad, but not in a bad way. I remember standing at the kitchen sink one night rinsing a skillet while her phone lit up on the counter. She smiled before she even picked it up. I said, "Cole?" Her face changed. Not guilty, exactly. More like annoyed that I had noticed. "He's just checking in," she said. At 11:30? "He's going through stuff." "So are we. We're planning a wedding." She sighed like I had failed some test. "Can you not make me regret being open with you?" That line worked on me more than I want to admit. I backed off because I didn't want to be the jealous fiancé. I had seen enough miserable couples where one person monitored the other like a parole officer. I told myself trust was only trust if it didn't demand constant proof. But Cole kept sliding further into our life. He knew things I had never told him. He knew our first dance options. He knew Alyssa was torn between 2 hairstyles. He knew the resort where we had booked our honeymoon. One night, he sent her a playlist called For Perspective, and the first song on it was the song she had almost picked for our processional. I asked her, "Why does Cole know about the song list?" She was sitting cross-legged on the bed, folding little favor tags into envelopes. She didn't look up. Because he asked how planning was going. Most people who ask how planning is going don't need a full breakdown. You're making it weird. I think it got weird before I said anything. She pressed the heel of her hand against her forehead. "Mason, I am allowed to have conversations with people who knew me before you. I never said you weren't. You're acting like his name scares you. His name doesn't scare me. Your secrecy does." That was the first time she cried over Cole, while claiming Cole was not the problem. She said I had made her feel controlled. She said she was trying to be honest, and I had punished her for it. She said if I trusted her, I wouldn't need to dissect every interaction. I apologized for my tone, not because I thought I was wrong, but because her tears made me doubt the way I had said it. That became a pattern. I raised a concern. She said the concern made her feel unsafe. I lowered my voice. She accepted that as proof I had been too harsh. Then the boundary disappeared. 2 months before the wedding, I found out she had met Cole for coffee and hadn't told me. I wasn't snooping. We were going over our credit card statement because the florist's second payment had posted twice by mistake. Alyssa had opened the banking app on her laptop and turned it toward me so I could see the charge. Right above the florist payment was a coffee shop charge from a place across town. I recognized the name because Cole had tagged that same place in a photo the week before. I only knew that because he had followed me after we got engaged, a move I had found strange but not dramatic enough to care about. I tapped the screen and said, "You went there?" She froze for maybe half a second. "Yes. With Cole. He needed to talk. And you didn't mention it. I knew you'd react like this." I looked at her, honestly confused. "Like what?" I asked a question. "Your face. Your tone. This is why I didn't tell you." I remember closing the laptop slowly because I didn't trust myself to keep staring at that little line on the statement. "You don't get to use my reaction to your lie as the reason you lied," I said. She crossed her arms. "It wasn't a lie. It was one coffee." "Then why hide it?" "Because sometimes you turn normal things into evidence." That sentence stayed with me. I didn't know then that she had already started turning me into the kind of man whose reaction needed to be managed. The rehearsal dinner was beautiful in the way rehearsals usually are, when everyone is pretending stress is charm. There were wrinkled seating cards stacked near the entrance because Carol, Alyssa's mom, had decided the font was too small and made 2 bridesmaids redo half of them. There were leftover dessert boxes on a side table, half-empty champagne flutes by the sink, and relatives hugging each other with the kind of forced cheer people bring to events that cost too much money. Alyssa looked perfect. That's the part that still irritates me. Not because she looked beautiful, although she did, but because she looked calm. She moved around the room kissing cheeks and accepting compliments like tomorrow was just another step in a plan she fully intended to follow. Priya, one of her bridesmaids, kept watching me like I was a dog she didn't trust around children. At one point, I was putting a stack of plates near the kitchen island when Priya came up beside me and said, "Just give her room to breathe tonight, okay?" I looked at her. Room from what? Her eyes flicked toward Alyssa. "Everything is a lot right now. Planning a wedding is a lot for both of us." She gave me a tight little smile. "Right? I just mean, don't make her feel trapped." That word landed wrong. Trapped. I was marrying her the next afternoon. I had spent 14 months showing up to appointments, writing checks, calling vendors, tasting cake, comparing linen colors I could barely tell apart, and reassuring her every time she panicked that nobody expected the day to be perfect. But somehow, I was the one people were being warned about. Carol hugged Alyssa too long before leaving. Not a normal mother-daughter wedding eve hug. It had weight. She whispered something into Alyssa's ear. Alyssa nodded, but she wouldn't look at me afterward. When the last guest left, the house had that hollow after-party smell. Sugar, champagne, cold food, perfume, and dish soap. The printed wedding folder was still beside the coffee maker, open to the day of schedule. Alyssa stood near the sink in her rehearsal dinner dress, turning her engagement ring around her finger. I was collecting empty flutes when she said, "Can you sit down for a minute?" I knew. Not the details, but I knew something was wrong. Her voice was too careful. I put the glasses in the sink and sat on the couch. She stayed standing. "I need one honest conversation before tomorrow," she said. "Then be honest." She took a breath like she had practiced it. "I can't walk down the aisle with unanswered feelings." My first thought was cold feet. My second thought was Cole. "What feelings?" I asked. "I need to know I'm choosing you freely." That was when my body went still. Not tense. Still. "Choosing me freely," I repeated. "I know how it sounds." "Do you?" "I don't want us to start a marriage with anything unprocessed." "Alyssa, what are you saying?" She finally sat down, not beside me, but in the chair across from the couch. Like we were already in separate rooms. "Cole and I are taking the same flight in the morning." For a few seconds, I heard nothing except the refrigerator humming. I said, "The morning of our wedding." She swallowed. "I'm not saying this to hurt you. There are guests asleep in the hotel block right now. My family is expecting to put on suits tomorrow. Your bridesmaids have dresses hanging in garment bags. And you're telling me you're flying somewhere with Cole. I need a few days. With your ex. To be sure. To be sure you want to marry me? To be sure I'm not choosing you out of fear." I let out a laugh, but there was no humor in it. It sounded like air leaving a tire. "Are you canceling the wedding?" She flinched. "I'm pausing it." "No. A playlist is paused. A wedding with guests and vendors and contracts is canceled. You're making this harsher than it needs to be. I'm asking what you're doing. I'm being honest." You're leaving with Cole tomorrow. I need clarity. I rubbed my hands over my face once and forced myself to lower them slowly. I could feel the part of me that wanted to yell. I could feel the humiliation rising before the full situation had even finished revealing itself. But something about the way she was watching me made me cautious. She looked scared, yes, but also prepared. Prepared for my anger. Prepared to use it. I said, "Where are you going?" She hesitated. My stomach dropped before she answered. "The resort," she said. "Our honeymoon resort. The booking is already there." I stared at her. She rushed on. "I know it sounds terrible, but wasting it would be cruel. It's paid for. Mostly. And I thought maybe if I had space away from all this pressure, I could come back with a clear heart. With Cole. He knows me in a different way. And you need my honeymoon reservation to find that out." Her eyes filled with tears. "Please don't turn this into punishment." I leaned back against the couch and looked around the room, because looking at her was starting to feel dangerous. The dessert boxes. The champagne flutes. The seating cards. The wedding folder. The packet of thank you cards Alyssa had insisted we write immediately after the honeymoon, so guests would know we were thoughtful. "You want to take the honeymoon I paid for," I said, "with the man you're leaving me for." "I'm not leaving you for him." "What would you call it?" "I'm checking my heart." "That's convenient. It sounds better than cheating." She stood up. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Use ugly words because you're hurt." "Alyssa, you are leaving with another man the morning we're supposed to get married." I haven't slept with him. I had not asked. The fact that she volunteered it told me she had rehearsed categories in her head. What counted? What didn't? What she could admit and still call herself honest. I said, "Did you already change the reservation?" She looked down. The silence answered before she did. "Alyssa, that's not the point." "It is now." I added my email because I didn't know whether you'd be reasonable. "You added your email to our honeymoon booking before the rehearsal dinner." I needed options. "Options," I said. She pressed her fingers to her mouth. "You're doing the thing. You're making me feel like a criminal for needing clarity." The phone on the kitchen counter started vibrating. We both looked. Carol's name lit up first. Alyssa grabbed it and walked into the kitchen, but not far enough. "Mom, I'm telling him now," she said quietly. "No, he's calm. Too calm." That little sentence did something to me. "No, he's calm. Too calm." It meant they had discussed my reaction. It meant this was not a sudden panic attack after too much champagne. It meant Carol knew. Maybe not all of it, but enough. Alyssa hung up and came back looking defensive before I even spoke. "Your mom knew?" "She knew I was struggling." "Did she know you were leaving with Cole?" "She knew I needed space." "Stop using wallpaper words." Her face hardened. "This is why I couldn't talk to you." Her phone buzzed again on the counter. She had set it down face up this time. I didn't move toward it. I didn't touch it. But the screen lit up bright in the dim kitchen, and the preview was right there. "Cole, did you get him to keep the room under his card?" For a second, neither of us breathed. Then Alyssa lunged for the phone and flipped it over like the sentence had burned her. I stood up. "I didn't open your phone," I said. He put the sentence on the screen. "You were looking for a reason to punish me." "No, you handed me one." "It's not what you think." "What part? The room? The card? Or the fact that Cole knows I'm supposed to keep paying while he tests your heart?" She started crying harder now, but the tears felt different. Less wounded. More panicked. "Mason, please. Don't be cruel. I'm going to take a drive." "You're leaving?" "I think that's funny coming from you." She followed me to the front door. "If you walk out right now, you're proving everything I was afraid of." I picked up my keys from the little bowl by the door. "If your version of honesty requires me to pay for you to run off with another man, I'm okay proving you wrong." I got into my car and sat there with my hands on the wheel. I didn't start it right away. The porch light made everything look too normal. Our trash cans were lined up by the side of the house. A box of ceremony programs sat by the front door, waiting to be loaded into someone's car in the morning. My phone buzzed before I had even backed out. "Alyssa, please don't make tonight uglier." "Alyssa, I know you're hurt." "Alyssa, I need you to be mature." "Alyssa, don't punish me for being honest." That was her word. Punish. Not "I'm sorry." Not "I know I destroyed something." Not even "I understand if you hate me." Punish. I called Drew. He answered on the second ring, his voice rough with sleep. "You okay?" "No." He was awake immediately. "Where are you?" "In the driveway." "What happened?" I told him the short version because the long version was too insane to say out loud all at once. When I got to the part about the resort, Drew went quiet. Then he said, "Do not go back in there and yell." I wasn't planning to. Yes, you were. Maybe not with your feet, but with your thumbs. Do not text her a speech. Do not call Cole. Do not give her a scene she can crop into a villain edit. I closed my eyes. She wants me to pay for the trip, I said. Then start with the bill. That snapped my attention into place. Drew kept going. Write down exactly what happened while it's fresh. Time, words, who called, the message you saw. Then open every account that has your name or card attached. You can be furious after you protect yourself. I don't know what I'm allowed to cancel. Then cancel only what's yours. Remove your card. Freeze what you can. Email vendors in writing. No threats. No insults. Receipts first. Feelings later. That was Drew. Loyal, blunt, and occasionally the only reason I didn't step on a rake someone had left directly in front of me. I drove around the block once just to get my breathing under control, then parked in a grocery store lot that was nearly empty except for a couple of cars and a cart someone had abandoned by a curb. I opened the Notes app on my phone and typed everything. After rehearsal dinner, approximately 10:48 p.m., Alyssa said she couldn't walk down the aisle with unanswered feelings. Said she and Cole were taking same flight in morning. Said she was pausing wedding. Said she wanted to use honeymoon booking because wasting it would be cruel. Admitted she added email to resort reservation. Carol called. Alyssa said, "I'm telling him now." Cole message preview at 11:17 p.m. Did you get him to keep the room under his card? I wrote it cleanly, without adjectives, because Drew was right. The facts were bad enough. They did not need decoration. Then I opened the shared wedding email. Alyssa hated planning apps, but she had been fine using one email account where vendors sent confirmations. It was not her private email. It was ours. The password was in the wedding folder because she was always forgetting it. The resort confirmation was easy to find. I searched the resort name, opened the latest thread, and felt my jaw tighten. My name was still the primary guest. My card was still the one on file for incidentals and remaining balances. But Alyssa's personal email had been added as a guest contact 2 weeks earlier. The room had been upgraded from the Ocean View King we chose together to a honeymoon suite with a plunge pool I had specifically said was too expensive. The champagne package had been changed. A couple's massage had been added. An excursion had been moved from the third day to the first afternoon. She had personalized my humiliation. Every line item looked like a little announcement that I had been funding a lie. I called the resort. I sat through hold music that sounded like it had been recorded inside an elevator in 1998. While I waited, Alyssa called me 4 times. I let every call go to voicemail. When an agent finally picked up, I kept my voice calm. "I'm the primary guest and cardholder on a reservation," I said. "I need to remove my card authorization for any future charges and cancel any add-ons under my name that are still cancelable." The agent asked for confirmation numbers, dates, and security details. I had them all. Wedding folder, coffee maker, ridiculous printed pages. At one point, the agent said both guests would need to approve a full cancellation because of the package rules. I said I understood. "I am not trying to cancel another adult's travel," I told her. "I'm removing my payment authorization and canceling services billed to me where policy allows." She put me on hold again. My phone buzzed. "Alyssa, Mason, please." "Alyssa, you're scaring me." "Alyssa, this is exactly what I told Priya you would do." "Alyssa, you're trying to trap me financially." I stared at that last message. Trap her financially. I was sitting in a grocery store parking lot on what was supposed to be my last night as an unmarried man, removing my credit card from a honeymoon she intended to take with her ex, and she was already writing the caption for her victim story. The resort agent came back. "The primary card authorization has been removed," she said. "Any new guest charges will require a card at check-in. The suite upgrade can be released back to inventory. The champagne package and massage are outside the free cancellation window, but can be converted to a credit under the reservation holder's name. The excursion is cancelable with a partial fee." "Do that," I said. "Would you like confirmation sent to the account email?" "Yes, please send it to the account email." When the confirmation arrived, I saved it as a PDF and forwarded a copy to my personal email. Then I called Lena. My younger sister answered with the alertness of someone who had been waiting for something to go wrong. She had never loved Alyssa. She had been polite, but every time Cole came up, Lena's face did this tiny thing like she smelled smoke. "What happened?" she said. I told her. She didn't interrupt until I finished. Then she said, "I'm coming over." "No, I'm not home." "Good. I don't want drama." "Mason, she is counting on you being too decent to defend yourself. I don't want to humiliate her." Lena made a sound that was not quite a laugh. "She booked the humiliation. You're just refusing to pay the deposit." I leaned my head back against the seat. That sounds like something Drew would say. Then Drew is useful for once. He told me to document. Listen to him. And listen to me. Privacy is not the same thing as letting her lie. That line stuck too. Privacy is not the same thing as letting her lie. For most of my adult life, I had believed that if you stayed quiet during ugly moments, you were being dignified. Sometimes that's true, but silence also gives dishonest people clean paper to write on. I did not post anything. I did not call Cole. I did not drive to wherever he lived and demand answers like some bad movie. I went back to the house around 1 a.m. because I needed the wedding folder and my documents. Alyssa was upstairs. I could hear her crying into the phone, but I did not go up. I took the folder, my passport, the credit card file from the desk, the checkbook from the drawer, and a small box of personal things from the closet. My grandfather's watch, some old letters from my parents, a few photos that belonged to me before Alyssa. I packed one duffel bag. I left the ring box I had planned to use during our private vows sitting inside the nightstand. On the kitchen island, I found a sticky note in Alyssa's handwriting. "Please don't make me choose under threat." I almost laughed again. The absurdity kept coming in waves. I wrote nothing back. Instead, from the shared wedding email, I sent a message to the venue, photographer, florist, caterer, hair and makeup team, and transportation company. I copied Alyssa because I wanted the record to be clean. Due to the cancellation of the wedding, no changes, transfers, upgrades, or added charges may be made under my name or card without written confirmation from me. Please preserve all existing invoices, contracts, payment records, and cancellation options. Written communication only. It was not poetic. It did not need to be. I emailed the registry support address and asked for gift purchases to be paused where possible and return instructions sent to guests. I changed the wedding website landing page from the romantic photo Alyssa loved to a plain message. "The wedding scheduled for tomorrow has been canceled. We apologize for the disruption. Guests will receive follow-up information regarding travel, gifts, and event logistics." I did not include a reason. Not yet. By 2:30 a.m., I was at Drew's place, sleeping badly on his couch while my phone vibrated on the coffee table until Drew picked it up, turned it face down, and said, "No more tonight." I woke up just after 7 a.m. to chaos. Texts from my parents. Texts from cousins. Texts from guests in the hotel block asking if they should still show up for brunch. One message from an uncle just said, "What the hell?" Then Carol texted, "Carol, Mason, call me immediately." "Carol, Alyssa is devastated." "Carol, you are making this uglier than it needs to be." "Carol, our family is humiliated." "Carol, you could have handled this privately." I typed one sentence, deleted it, typed another, and deleted that too. Drew came out of the kitchen with coffee and saw my face. "Don't," he said. "I haven't." "Good. Show me." I handed him the phone. He read Carol's messages and snorted. "She's humiliated because the plan didn't stay convenient. My parents are asking questions. Tell them the wedding is canceled and you'll explain when you have a clean timeline." That's it. So I did. To my immediate family, I wrote, "The wedding is canceled. Alyssa informed me last night that she is leaving with Cole today and wanted to use our honeymoon reservation. I am safe. I am handling vendors in writing. Please do not contact her or her family on my behalf." My mother called crying. My father was quiet in that dangerous way fathers get when they are trying not to make their grown sons feel like children. "You don't have to explain everything right now," he said. "I know. Are you safe?" "Yes." "Do you need anything?" "Not yet." After that, the first screenshot came from Priya. I did not expect it. At 8:12 a.m., she texted me, "Priya, I'm sorry to bother you. Alyssa said you're cutting off all access and trying to strand her. Is that true?" I stared at it for a while. Then I wrote, "I removed my card from the honeymoon reservation after she told me she was taking it with Cole. I have not canceled her flight. I am not preventing her from going anywhere. She did not answer for 10 minutes. Then 3 images came through. Priya, she told us weeks ago you might do this. Priya, I thought she meant if she needed space before the wedding, you'd punish her. Priya, I don't know what to think right now. The screenshots were from a bridesmaid group chat. Alyssa, I'm scared to tell Mason I still have unresolved feelings. Priya, does this mean you don't want to marry him? Alyssa, I do. I think. But I need clarity, and he takes everything so personally. Alyssa, he might financially punish me if I say I need a few days. Another bridesmaid, what does that mean? Alyssa, like cancel things, block access, make me feel trapped. Alyssa, Cole thinks if Mason really loves me, he'll let me have one last nice thing to breathe. Priya, what does Cole have to do with it? Alyssa, he's part of what I need closure around. Please don't judge me. The next screenshot was worse. Alyssa, once we're there, Mason won't make a scene. He cares too much about looking decent. Alyssa, I just need to get through rehearsal without everyone asking questions. Alyssa, Mom says honesty can wait until I know what life I want. I read that 3 times. Honesty can wait until I know what life I want. So Carol knew more than she had implied. Priya knew there was something. The bridesmaids had been primed to see me as controlling. Alyssa had not panicked after the rehearsal dinner. She had staged a soft launch of betrayal and wrapped it in therapy language. Drew looked over my shoulder and said, "There's your timeline. I don't want to send this to everybody. Not yet, but save it." I saved everything. Around 8:45 a.m., my phone rang from a number I did not recognize. I let it go. A voicemail appeared. It was Alyssa. The background noise was loud enough that I had to replay it with the phone near my ear. Mason, I cannot believe you did this. We're at the airport, and I just got the resort email. You removed the card? You canceled the suite? How could you be this cruel? I told you I needed clarity, not punishment. You're proving I was right about you. She sounded breathless. Angry. Not heartbroken. Angry that the plan had changed. I did not respond. By then, the family group chat had come alive. It had been created months earlier for wedding logistics, so it included my parents, Alyssa's parents, some siblings, a few relatives helping with setup, Priya, Drew, and several people who probably wished they had never been added. Carol, everyone please give Alyssa privacy. Carol, Mason has made decisions that hurt many people. Alyssa's aunt, is the wedding canceled? My mother, we were told it is canceled. Carol, Alyssa needed honesty and compassion. Drew, nobody should guess. Carol, Drew, please stay out of family matters. Lena, he is family. Carol, this should not be public. I still did not answer. Then Alyssa posted an Instagram story. A friend sent it to me because I had already muted her. The background was a blurry airport window. The text read, "Some people punish honesty because they can't control love. I try to choose truth. I'm devastated by how quickly someone can turn cruel when they don't get ownership of you." I sat at Drew's kitchen table, coffee going cold in front of me, and felt something in me flatten. Not explode. Flatten. There was pain, definitely. There was humiliation. But beneath it was a colder understanding. She was going to make me the villain because she needed the story to be survivable. Drew leaned against the counter. That's your cue. I know. Clean timeline. No rant. Lena was already typing in a separate thread with me. Lena, do not insult her. Lena, do not call Cole names. Lena, dates. Receipts. One sentence at the top. Lena, let her own words do the heavy lifting. So I built the timeline. I included the rehearsal dinner date and the after-dinner conversation. I included exact quotes where I had them and labeled my recollections clearly as recollections. I included the resort confirmation showing me as the primary guest and card holder. I included the email showing Alyssa's address added 2 weeks earlier. I included the modification list, suite upgrade, champagne package, couples massage, excursion change. I included the resort confirmation that my card had been removed and future charges required a new card at check-in. I included Alyssa's texts calling it punishment. I included Priya's screenshots with her permission, and I did not include anything private beyond what directly related to the story Alyssa was telling. I included the wedding website cancellation message and vendor email. At the top, I wrote, "You all heard her version last night and this morning. Here is the part she forgot. I am not arguing with an edited story anymore." Then I sent it to the wedding logistics group chat. For about 30 seconds, nothing happened. Then reactions started popping up. A thumbs up from someone who probably hit the wrong button. A shocked face. Then nothing again. Priya was the first person to type. Priya, Alyssa, is this real? Carol replied before Alyssa did. Carol, this should never have been shared. Lena, neither should his money. Carol, our family is humiliated. My father, Mason, did not create these screenshots. Carol, he could have handled it privately. I typed slowly. Me. It became public when I was blamed for a plan I didn't make. Alyssa appeared in the chat. Alyssa, I can't believe you do this to me. Alyssa, you're exposing private pain. Alyssa, I was confused. Priya, did you add your email to the honeymoon booking 2 weeks ago? Alyssa, that's not fair. Drew, it is a yes or no question. Alyssa, I needed options. Lena, there it is. Carol, stop attacking her. Me. She tried to make me pay for her escape. I just stopped paying. Then I put my phone down. I didn't feel good. That surprised me. I thought sending the receipts would feel like revenge. Instead, it felt like opening a window in a room that had been full of gas. Necessary, sharp, and not enjoyable. The resort lobby meltdown happened a few hours later. I know because Alyssa left me 3 voicemails and then Cole texted me directly, which was a bold choice for a man who had spent months acting like a ghost in my relationship. Alyssa's first voicemail was tearful. Mason, they're saying they need a card for the remaining balance and all incidentals. They don't have the suite anymore. Why would you release it? We're exhausted. I can't believe you did this on the day. I'm already hurting. The second was angrier. You can't just strand me because you're hurt. This is financial abuse. You know I wasn't prepared for this. The third had Cole in the background. Alyssa, can you please just put it down for tonight? Cole, I'm not putting my card down for all of this. Alyssa, Cole, stop. Cole, this isn't what we talked about. That one I saved immediately. Then Cole texted. Cole, look, man, I didn't think you'd actually cancel anything. Cole, I didn't know she was still planning to go through with the wedding until yesterday. Cole, this isn't my fight. Cole, don't drag me into your drama. I stared at the phrase your drama for a long moment. The man she ran to started backing away before lunch. I did not answer him. I added his messages to the record because he had just contradicted Alyssa's version himself. If he didn't know until yesterday, then why had he been asking whether she got me to keep the room under my card? If he did know, then his lie was obvious. Either way, he was no romantic savior. He was a man who liked winning until the bill came. Priya called me that afternoon. I almost didn't answer, but she had sent the screenshots and deserved a basic conversation. I'm sorry, she said as soon as I picked up. I was standing in Drew's hallway with a laundry basket full of my rehearsal clothes at my feet. For what part? For believing her framing. For looking at you last night like you were the problem. Her voice cracked. She made it sound like you were going to trap her if she admitted she had doubts. I thought I was helping her feel safe. She was using you as cover. I know that now. I didn't say it was okay. It wasn't. But I said, I appreciate you saying that. She told us you'd care more about appearances than her feelings. I looked at the laundry basket. My suit jacket was folded on top, still smelling faintly of the rehearsal dinner. She wasn't completely wrong, I said. I did care about appearances. Just not enough to fund the sequel. Priya gave a sad little laugh. A few bridesmaids are furious. One already asked Alyssa about returning gifts, and Alyssa left her on read. That became the next wave. Guests wanted to know what to do with registry items. Some had already traveled. Some had taken time off. Some were kind. Some were nosy. A few seemed personally offended that a wedding they were attending for free had not provided a satisfying enough explanation within 12 hours. I wrote one message, with Lena's help, and sent it to people who needed logistics. The wedding has been canceled. I'm sorry for the disruption and for any costs you incurred. Registry gifts are being returned where possible, and I'll provide instructions for anything already delivered. I'm handling vendor and guest logistics in writing. Thank you for your understanding. No details. No Cole. No courtroom statement. The timeline had gone to the people Alyssa had actively misled. Everyone else got logistics. Carol called me that evening. I almost ignored it, but Drew said, one call. Speaker. I'm here. So I answered. Carol did not say hello. You humiliated my daughter, she said. I looked at Drew. He raised his eyebrows like, there it is. I said, she canceled the wedding. She was confused. She planned a trip with Cole, using my honeymoon reservation. She needed space. She needed my credit card. Carol inhaled sharply. You could have handled this privately. I did, until she posted that I was punishing honesty. She's in pain. So am I. You made our family look ridiculous. No, Carol. I stopped paying for the ridiculous part. There was a silence. Then she said, lower, I don't know why she told us something different. That was the closest Carol ever came to admitting it. You knew enough, I said. I knew she was struggling. I did not know all of this. You knew she was going to tell me after rehearsal. She is my daughter. And I was supposed to be your son-in-law tomorrow. Another silence. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. Her breathing on the line told me the sentence had landed. Finally, she said, what do you want from us? Nothing. That's not possible. It is. I want written communication about any remaining vendor issues. I want registry gifts returned. I want no one using my name to explain Alyssa's choices. That's it. You're being cold. No, I'm being done. I hung up before she could turn that into another debate. Over the next week, the fantasy version of Alyssa's story collapsed in pieces. Cole left the resort after one night. I learned that from Priya, who learned it from a bridesmaid, who learned it from Alyssa's cousin. Apparently, Cole paid for the cheapest available room for one night after arguing with Alyssa in the lobby, then told her he couldn't be the emotional container for this level of fallout. I hated that phrase so much I almost admired its cowardice. Alyssa came back 2 days later. She did not come to see me. She sent messages. Alyssa, I hope you're proud. Alyssa, Cole is overwhelmed because you made everything hostile. Alyssa, I needed closure and you made sure I lost everyone. Alyssa, was that the goal? I did not answer. Then came the soft version. Alyssa, I know I handled things imperfectly. Alyssa, I was scared. Alyssa, I felt like if I didn't go, I would always wonder. Alyssa, you have to understand how terrifying that is. Alyssa, please talk to me like someone who loved me yesterday. That one hurt. Not because it was fair, but because I had loved her yesterday. That was the worst part. Love does not shut off on a schedule just because someone does something unforgivable. It keeps moving around inside you like a thing looking for its old home. I typed a long reply. I deleted it. Then I typed one sentence. Me. All remaining logistics need to stay in writing. She sent back a paragraph. I did not open it. The financial cleanup was miserable. Real life does not work like a revenge movie. I did not get all my money back. The venue kept a large chunk of the deposit. The caterer had already ordered inventory. The florist offered partial credit I had no immediate use for. The photographer, who was kinder than he needed to be, refunded a small portion and said he was sorry. Hair and makeup kept their retainer. The transportation company charged a cancellation fee that made me stare at the invoice for a full minute before paying it, because fighting it would cost more energy than it was worth. I disputed only charges that were actually unauthorized. I did not invent claims. I did not try to destroy Alyssa financially. I paid what my name was attached to, recovered what policy allowed, and stopped the bleeding where I could. The registry was awkward. Some gifts had already arrived at the house, so I had to coordinate returns without going through Alyssa. One older relative had sent a handwritten note with a set of towels that said, "May you build a home full of patience and laughter." I sat on Drew's floor with that card in my hand longer than I should have. Patience. That word again. Lena came over with takeout that night and found me surrounded by boxes. You eating? She asked. Eventually. She looked at the towels. I'll handle those. You don't have to. I know. She sat across from me and opened the food containers. You keep doing that. What? Acting like accepting help is another bill you have to pay. I didn't have a good answer. She softened. You don't have to be calm every second. I'm not calm. I know. I'm saying you don't have to perform calm for us. That was the first time I cried. Not the dramatic kind. No collapsed on the floor movie scene. Just tired, humiliating tears while my sister pretended to organize return labels so I could have a little privacy. Alyssa's friends split the way people split when the easy villain disappears. Some went quiet. Some unfollowed me, which was fine. A few sent messages that were really apologies disguised as weather reports. I didn't know it was like that. Sorry things got so messy. Hope you're doing okay. Priya's apology was the only one that sounded like it cost her something, so it was the only one I answered with more than a thumbs up. Carol stopped calling after my father told her not to contact me directly anymore. That conversation happened without my asking. He called me afterward and said, I kept it short. What did she say? That Alyssa was fragile. What did you say? That you were not furniture. I laughed for the first time in days. About 2 weeks after the canceled wedding, I went back to the house with Drew and Lena to collect the rest of my things. Alyssa was not there, by agreement. The place smelled like stale flowers because some arrangement from the rehearsal dinner had been left in a vase too long. The wedding folder was gone from the coffee maker. I found it later in a drawer, shoved under takeout menus, like hiding it could undo what it represented. In the bedroom, the ring box was still in the nightstand. The wedding band was inside, untouched. I put it in my pocket. Drew saw me and said, You okay? No. Fair. I walked through each room once. Not to be sentimental, at least that's what I told myself. I just wanted to make sure I hadn't forgotten anything important. But there are objects that become witnesses without permission. The mugs we bought on our first trip together. The blanket Alyssa always pulled onto her side of the couch. The stack of invitation samples we had argued about for 3 days before choosing the simplest one anyway. Leaving those things did not feel powerful. It felt like admitting I had built a life in a place where someone else had been quietly drawing an exit map. Alyssa asked for an in-person closure talk at least 6 times. The first request came through text. Alyssa, I think we owe each other one conversation. Me, written communication only. Alyssa, that's not healing. Me, it is for me. Then, through Carol. Carol, Alyssa needs closure. Me, she used that word to plan a trip with Cole. I'm not available for it. Then through Priya, who shut it down herself and sent me a screenshot with, I told her I'm not passing messages. I appreciated that. Finally, Alyssa sent one long email. The subject line was, Please read with your heart, not your anger. I almost deleted it, but there were still loose ends with vendors, so I read it. She wrote that she had panicked. She wrote that she loved me, but felt afraid of becoming a wife with unresolved questions. She wrote that Cole represented a version of herself she had never properly said goodbye to. She wrote that I had always been stable but emotionally difficult to reach, and that my calmness sometimes felt like judgment. Then came the sentence I knew was coming. I made one confused mistake, and you turned it into a public punishment. I sat with that for a while. Then I replied, Closure is a conversation. What you planned was a trip with another man paid for by the person you were supposed to marry. I did not cancel your ticket, block your travel, contact your employer, threaten Cole, or lie about you. I removed my payment from a honeymoon you chose to repurpose. The engagement is over permanently. Please keep all remaining logistics in writing. That was the last direct message I sent her. The engagement ended not with a screaming match, but with emails, receipts, return labels, and a bank statement that still made me wince. I took my name off the wedding website and archived the shared email after exporting every invoice. I removed myself from registry access. I closed the credit card authorization connected to the resort. I changed passwords on accounts that were mine, not hers. I returned gifts where I could and sent awkward apology notes to guests who had spent money because of us. Not because of us, really. Because of her. It took me a while to let myself say that without adding a softening clause. Yes, our relationship had problems. Yes, I could be quiet when I should have been direct. Yes, I had ignored signs because I wanted to be secure and reasonable and not become a man I wouldn't respect. But none of that made Alyssa book emotional clarity in a honeymoon suite under my card. None of that made Cole ask if she had gotten me to keep paying. None of that made Carol frame exposure as cruelty while her daughter tried to turn my silence into consent. The strangest part was how many people wanted me to be more devastated in public. A canceled wedding creates an audience, and audiences like visible grief. When I did not break down where people could see it, some assumed I was cold. When I sent evidence instead of begging, some assumed I was vengeful. It took me longer than I'd like to admit to stop caring about that. Drew helped in his own annoying way. One evening, about a month later, he came over with pizza and found me sorting through a final box of wedding stuff. You know what she counted on, he said. My card. That too. But mostly your embarrassment. I looked at him. He took a slice of pizza and pointed it at me like a lecturer. She thought you'd rather let everyone think you were the bad guy than admit you got played. I didn't answer because he was right. Alyssa had known me well enough to weaponize one of my better traits. I valued privacy. I hated public mess. I did not like dragging people into personal pain. She mistook that for unlimited cover. Or maybe she didn't mistake it at all. Maybe she understood it perfectly. A few months after the wedding that wasn't, Priya told me Alyssa and Cole were no longer speaking. I didn't ask for details, but Priya gave one anyway. He said the whole thing became toxic. I almost felt sorry for Alyssa then. Almost. Not because Cole left. That part was predictable. I felt sorry because she had burned down a 5-year relationship to chase a man who only enjoyed being chosen while someone else was paying the emotional and literal bill. Carol eventually sent a card. No return address, though I recognized the handwriting from shower invitations and thank you notes. Inside, she wrote, "I wish things had happened differently. I am sorry for the pain." It was not a full apology. It did not say, "I helped her hide this." It did not say, "I blamed you because admitting the truth embarrassed me." It did not say, "My daughter lied and I protected the lie until it cost too much." I set it in a drawer and did not respond. Alyssa's last attempt came after the final vendor credit was processed. She emailed about a small refund check made out to both of us. Her message was businesslike for 2 paragraphs, then slipped. "I hope someday you understand I wasn't trying to replace you. I was trying to find myself before I became someone's wife." I forwarded it to Lena with the personal part removed and asked if she could help me word a clean response. She sent back, "No." Then, 30 seconds later, "Fine." Together we wrote, "Please endorse the check and mail it to the address below, or I can sign and forward it to you for deposit. No personal discussion is needed." Alyssa chose to mail it. That was the end. The morning after I deposited my portion, I made coffee and reached for the wedding folder out of habit. My hand went to the empty spot by the coffee maker before my brain caught up. For a second, I just stood there. Then I made 1 cup instead of 2. It was not some grand rebirth. It was quiet. The counter was clean. No seating chart. No swatches. No list of vendors waiting to be called. No phone buzzing with someone telling me that protecting myself was cruelty. I carried my coffee to the table and opened my laptop to ordinary things. Bills. Calendar. A message from my mom asking if I wanted dinner on Sunday. A meme from Drew that was not funny but was clearly his attempt at support. My life was smaller than it had been supposed to be that week. But it was mine. I didn't cancel a honeymoon. I canceled my role as the sponsor of her betrayal. I lost a wedding, a lot of money, and the future I thought I was walking into. But I kept the one thing Alyssa was counting on me to sacrifice quietly, my dignity. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.